Well, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. We got a bit of a predicament here. The old 7.3 is broken down in the parking lot here at Penn State. So we're thinking it's a fuel pump. We went through all the fuel issues, injectors, took a look around, and we pointed ourselves to the fuel pump. Tested fuel pressure and came up to just short of 20 psi. And we checked wiring on the injectors, checked the injectors themselves, couldn't figure out what it was. So came to the conclusion it's a fuel pump. We're gonna replace that today and see if we can't get the truck running properly again and get us back on the road. So up underneath, this is the fuel pump here. This is what we think went bad.
We got a new fuel pump.
We're gonna
Looks like it's the same.
pull this one off, try and pull the connectors off of it and put the new one in and see if that fixes the issue.
So we have like 6 pairs of safety glasses in the truck, but we're just gonna let the rust fall and rise.
Of course. All right, so essentially we're trying to figure out how to get the fuel lines off. So this one here, it had this safety on it that I already pulled off, but I don't think it's a quick connector. Like, there's no squeeze points on it, so I think it's one of the ones that you got to clip around there and slide it back in. Same thing for back here, but this one's going to be really tough to get off because that is right up against the fuel pump there. So we're gonna pull both of them, and then we're gonna try and get the rest off. We'll take the wires off once we can get the lines off and the whole thing unbolted. All right, so we're pulling the bolts off the other side of the fuel pump. Getting off one at a time here. There's one. All right, so we got one of the bolts off on this side. Got to get the other one off, and that should free up the fuel pump from the rail, from the frame rail, and then we can work on getting the other stuff off the back side of it.
Gotta hold the back side of this nut. It's just spinning.
All right, so we got both the bolts off this side of the frame rail. We're working on getting the fuel lines off now. It appears this one is just those blue tabs. You got to squeeze in on both sides and that'll come off. This one up front, it doesn't look like we're so lucky. That one looks like we have to have that tool that you put around the fuel line and slide in, like I was saying earlier. But for now, we can pull the fuel pump off and we can unbolt it, it looks like, from the pump. We'll have the pump off and maybe we can screw the new one straight into the fuel line instead of replacing the nipple.
Getting leakage out of here. Well, can't see it there. There we go. Did you get both the wires off?
We got both the wires off. Now we're just trying to get the studs up.
You remember which wire goes where? It probably doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters. Oh.
Is that turning?
Yeah, it probably does matter. Reverse flow pump. It's sucking fuel out of the fuel bowl and blowing bubbles in the tank. Okay, so
it'd probably be better than what we got going on already.
We'll get 65 psi in the tank. Oh, look at that, broke loose.
We're fuel pumpless.
Andy's working on the pump here. We got a bunch of little, let's see if I can get it to focus. There's a bunch of little like pieces that are coming out of it. Just looks like a bunch of little metal shavings, maybe some rust coming out of there. Not too much coming out now. But down in there is some contaminants coming out. Yeah, there you go, you can see them coming out now. So that might have been our issue. Is the pump's full of crud. So we're gonna dig into this a little bit and find out maybe what's going on with this, or we'll just put the new one in. We'll find out. Pull the rubber sleeve off so we can get a more side-by-side comparison. So the pumps are more or less the same. This one's a lot bigger. It seems like if we pull this one off, it should be the same thread pattern, and the truck will just run. I hope. All right.
Well, it ran before, but
it did run before, just not well. So let's get it back to let's get these looking more similar, and then we'll go from there.
So the old pump's a Bosch. The new one's a China. All right, pay attention. This is complicated here. We're tailgating. We're outside Beaver Stadium tailgating right now.
Working hard.
Hardly working.
All right. We don't want to over tighten it because China makes everything out of plastic. You know, all the internals, it runs off of plastic. So we're gonna now pull this one off and see if it's the same as that one, and then put it back together. All right, so we just discovered that in here there is a check valve, and you can see this little red plunger. It floats around in there. There is one on the old Bosch pump, but it's down inside there. I don't know if I can show you. There it is. You can kind of see that little pin looking thing in there. So it's looking like we're gonna have to use this one.
Pull this one out of here and stick it in the other fitting. Okay. But I don't know if the other plug, if the other fitting, this is that big.
You can try it out. I'm assuming if the threads are the same pattern, it's probably gonna be the same diameter, right?
Maybe.
Let's go try it out. Okay, so we're gonna try and put this check valve in the other one if it fits.
Size. It's a different size.
So it ain't gonna fit. Just tight enough. There we go. Hard shift.
Is that it?
It came out. Oh. All right.
Nice.
So we got this out. Now we just need to put the new one in, but we're not going to do that because we like broken down vehicles. We're going to reassemble the old pump and put that back in. All right, so going to put the new pump in. Click it or tick it. Now we're going to take the left side over here, Andy.
Put the wires on first.
No, we can click both in.
You think?
Do you think? All right, we'll put the wires on first. Isaac, go grab the bag of bolts from up top. We got the wires connected here. We're gonna put it back on this front fuel line first, and then the rear fuel line, and then we're gonna bolt the bracket back up.
You should probably put the bracket on before the fuel lines.
We're putting
before both the fuel lines.
We're putting the front fuel line on, then the brackets, and then we're gonna connect the rear fuel line.
That would be a logical order of doing stuff.
We need to be quick about it. Are you ready, Andy? I just broke the fuel line. All right, you ready? Set, go.
Why are you counting down for me? You're the one doing it.
Oh, it's up my sleeve. All right, so got the new pump in and gained about 20 pounds of fuel pressure, but still running rough, still missing on just idle now. We're gonna contribution test it and see what the story is with it and see if we can pinpoint a better issue.
So we buzz tested the injectors again too, and they all buzzed, sounded fine. It sounds like the truck is running a little bit better. We have codes for cylinder 1 and cylinder 3 contribution, but I talked to a mechanic I know, and he used to work on these trucks from a Ford dealer, and he said these contribution tests can be inaccurate sometimes. So I don't know.
All right, so we're back at the truck again today. This is the second day we've been working on it. Fuel pump went in, didn't make a difference. So we put this whole side back together, and we're gonna change the return spring assembly, which is right here. whenever we pulled it apart the first time, we looked at it and the spring was really rusty in there. And then upon cleaning it, the spring actually broke in half. So we're gonna pull the return spring assembly off, put a new one in, and see if that gets our fuel pressure up to where it needs to be with the bigger injectors in the truck. So we're gonna get after it. All right, so we got the return assembly off here. Spring's out, the housing's off, the plunger's out, 2 bolts are out. The return fuel line was the first thing we disconnected. That came off. I just used the good old adjustable wrench. So pulled that off. That green you're seeing there is just residue from the old O-ring. So that doesn't need to come off. There's one in here, but we're just gonna replace the whole housing assembly. It comes with a new O-ring, so waiting for Andy to get here and then we're gonna put it back together. Andy just pulled up. Hopefully he's got the new part. Time to put it back together. He's got Chris too this time. So we dropped a little piece down in the valley, the new parts. We pulled the old one out and went straight down, and it's not coming back out. It'll just ride in there.
That's fine. Throw some grease on that, but
Grease her up. A little bit of engine oil.
there it's in there. Probably rolled the damn O-ring over. Oh, there it goes. That's good.
We're in. When you work on a Ford, tailgate's down. When you work on a Ford, of course. New spring going in.
So that spring's supposed to seat in the middle of this piece here.
Yeah.
And get that pressed on even. Like that. And then drop the bolts in the valley.
Of course. Alright, so we're getting the new bolts back on. Well, old bolts, new internals back on. And we're going to get the fuel line reconnected and see if we can't get some more fuel pressure in the bowl. Andy's working hard for me. Chris is standing there with.
I'm just hard
nothing.
not working.
Yep.
Union
Yeah, there
supervisor.
it is. Union supervisor over here, Chris.
So we're gonna tighten these down until they strip out.
Of course. Pushing this O-ring over top.
Why Ford didn't just use like
New
banjo
O-rings
bolts
on.
on these, it doesn't make sense to me. No, this is the old spring. Unless you want these. I mean, well, you're gonna get a new one here anyway in a little bit.
Yeah, bro. So Chris is gonna cycle the key a few times, see if we still have a leak at that fuel line there.
Oh, 60 pounds.
How about that?
So, since we started, we've tripled the fuel pressure.
We still have a leak.
I hear something. Well, you could probably get that seal from anywhere.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be running good now. It still has a little bit of a mess. Okay, so if you've made it this far in the video, I feel it's right to tell you now that all of this work that we're doing just didn't make a difference. All these tests and the new fuel pump and the return spring, just whatever's going on with the truck, it didn't fix the issue. It still sounds like it's missing on 1 or 2 cylinders. So essentially, you've just been watching us mess around with this truck for a while, and you've had nothing but false information. I mean, it's good if you're learning how to replace a fuel pump or do the return spring, but we're still looking for the reason, and I move out the weekend after this video was recorded, so you'll get a part 2 at some point, probably when I get back home, and at this point it's seeming like it's an injector issue, so I'm going to reach out to the company I bought the injectors from and see if I can get a couple to replace the ones that are bad, and then we'll go from there. So I appreciate you watching this far in the video. There's a little bit more after this, so I'd appreciate it if you stuck around to the end. Okay, so essentially we checked all the connections from the IDM here all the way to all the injectors, and we're not seeing anything out of the ordinary. Everything's reading like it should. So what we're gonna do now is swap the IDM out of Andy's truck just to cross that off the list and make sure that it's not just something we're overlooking before I go and find injectors or whatever else. We're gonna try this. Grunting Andy.
There's definitely some trip we're missing.
That's going in the video.
You know it is.
Okay.
Well, I can reach the...
PG video. For
This is
kids.
family friendly.
Made for kids.
This is family friendly.
You ain't got no John Deere mud flaps on your truck, though.
Nope.
That's the problem.
Nope. Yeah, that's why it's not working. Wait a minute. Imposter. There's a bunch of farmalls. drives around with John Deere flaps on the truck.
Still a little bit off. I mean it. What else could it be? One, it sounds like one. Back to where we started.
Yeah.
What a disaster.
So fuel pump wasn't the issue.
Well, it's like it was for a little bit. Then it...
Well, how do we know it wasn't the return spring the whole time though?
It could have been. It's like 2 issues at once.